and welcome to the show. It's great to have your company. You will not believe what I have been up to for today's show, and I'm not the only one with a story to tell. Let's have a look at what's in store.
Hazy goes behind the scenes at Morfettville. We get to know Australian cricketer and fast bowler Megan Shute. But first, here's Michael.
Well, it's springtime and it's that time of the year when we should get out into the garden to do those little jobs we put off during the colder months. And one of the first ones I'm going to do is to have a look at my lawn and get it ship-shape for those beautiful, balmy summer days ahead. Now, thanks to our resident magpie family, our lawn is looking a little bit shaggy, but I'm not worried about that because about mid-November, I'm going to scalp it down a little bit, let the lawn grow back, then feed it and set it right up for the summer months ahead. As we come out of hibernation from the cooler weather, so do our plants. It's time to bring indoor plants outside for some fresh air and give them a bit of TLC. Dust them down, give them a good feed and water, throw in some slow-release fertiliser, and they should bounce back in no time. And speaking of reviving, now if your once beautiful cyclamen is looking a bit like that, it's telling you it needs a rest. The best way to rest it is to find a shady spot, and I've got a little nook down here where you put it down there on its side so it won't get overwatered and rot, and come back and check it out about March next year, and you'll find that it's full of new shoots, full of new leaves, and back to its former glory. Another job beckoning is a spring tidy up. Give diosma, rosemary, conifers, and any hedge a light prune to keep them in shape. Now that that's done, it's time to get planting. I'm a big believer that you should grow whatever you like to eat. Now, my favourites include chives, sage, basil, mint, oregano, rocket and thyme. But the list really is endless. Of course, tomatoes should be at the top of any kitchen gardener's list. Now, this is my tomato patch. It's not very big, 40 centimetres or thereabout. I've dug in some dynamic lifter, but you could use sea mungus or something like that. And there it is, that's ready. Just let me have one. Oh, beautiful. I'm going to grow 2 tomatoes in that. That'll be a perfect mix. I'm planting an heirloom Black Russian. Now, the flesh is a deep chocolate colour and it's great in salads. The other, a mighty Apollo. The crowning glory is this wonderful trellis. As they grow, I'll tie them on there gently on the outside, and they'll grow up and produce a wonderful crop of tomatoes. Give them a drink over the next couple of weeks with sea salt to avoid transplant shock. Then add a slow-release fertiliser. And that should do right to the end of their life and help produce some wonderful tomatoes. I can't wait. For a good dose of gardening inspiration, nothing beats a trip to the nursery. So I've headed up to the garden depot in Mount Barker. G'day, Patrick.
How are you, Michael?
I'm very well, thank you.
Welcome to the garden.
If you want to jazz up your garden, there's loads of exciting new plants and pots available. Well, let's have a look around.
We've got a fantastic range of tetrathecas called fairy bells. It's an Australian native, nice and drought tolerant. Comes in a variety of different flower colours. It's fantastic. Also Nandina Obsession, and so this is a newer form that keeps that lovely red colour all season round, so you don't just have to wait for it in the cooler months.
Not to mention the old favourites that have been reimagined.
Absolutely. So forms of lavenders. Lavenders have been bred to be more compact and floriferous. Absolutely beautiful. Geraniums, again, beautiful heads of flowers, come in a range of different colours.
When I was a kid growing up in our family garden, we only knew of 3 lavenders. It was French, English and Italian. I reckon now there's 3,333. This is the latest Australian bred bee magnet double flowering lavender. It really is superb, just perfect if you've got a veggie garden, very, very hardy and really does its job in the garden. Now Patrick, we getting close to Christmas, a few weeks away.
Absolutely.
What should we be planting now that's going to give us a lot of colour and interest for Christmas?
Of course, you can always put your petunias in, plant them in your Christmas colours, brighten up the garden. Things like your fuchsias are going to be looking great, hydrangeas as well, nice big heads of flowers. We have some fantastic bracteanthus, little paper daisies, come in a variety of colours, looking fantastic as well.
So there you have it. Make sure you get out into the garden this spring. Trust me, any jobs you can do now will make a big difference to the way your garden looks once summer hits. Happy gardening.
Coming up, the race that happens off the track at Morphettville.
You don't normally prize me out of bed before sunrise, but today I'm making an exception. I'm at the Morphettville Racecourse to find out what happens behind the scenes in the midst of racing season.
It's only 4 a.m, but stable hands, track riders and trainers are already up and at 'em for early morning track work. Overseeing proceedings is Brenton Patterson, affectionately known as Banjo. As track work supervisor, he's responsible for safety around here, and it's a job and life he's made for.
Been involved in horses since I was 16. Bought a horse before I bought a car.
Mate, so if you're here at 4 o'clock, what time does the alarm go off?
About 3:10, 6 mornings a week.
You are a nice little, tight community though. It seems like everyone knows each other.
The racing family is a family. Everyone knows everybody. We get into trouble, there's always someone to help.
With 2 or 3 race days held in South Australia every week, these equine athletes have to stay in peak condition. When they're not on the track, a water workout improves stamina with minimal impact to their joints.
Is this a first job for a lot of people?
Well, it's probably a second job for a lot. A lot would have day jobs, but the idea of being here early in the morning is that we've got a lot of track maintenance and there's also a race day to go to.
Set here for the second trial of the morning. First of the open trials. There's the light. They're ready. Off they go.
Next stop on my behind-the-scenes tour is with veteran race caller Terry McAuliffe. Today, he's calling barrier trials, which are practice runs for young horses to get them used to the gates. Terry has called races at the Commonwealth Games and Olympics, but his love for the industry began right here.
Well, it probably started just across the road from the racecourse, really. I grew up in the Morphettville area. We had horses over the back fence and I had a love for the animal and I started hanging around the stables and started calling trials when I was 19 or 20 years of age and eventually climbed my way up the ladder to become, the caller here in Adelaide as I am now. Behind it next.
Terry makes it look easy, but how does he remember all the horses' names?
It's short-term memory retention, so you probably work the hardest once the jockeys are legged up in the mounting yard and they go to the gate. So you've probably got 5 or 6 minutes when they go to the barrier to just get those names fresh in your mind.
Everyone at Morphettville has a job to do. Even off the track in the kitchen, you've got to be just as fast. During spring racing season, executive chef Mark Cooper and his team have to cater for up to 30,000 people. So how does he do it?
The team behind me that do all the work. I'm the brains behind the operation, they do all the grunt work, and I'm lucky I've got a leadership group that's on top of everything all the time. So, yep, plenty of planning. We spend 3 months planning the events, so yeah.
To get the job done, Mark's brought in extra help and has 90 staff working in 12 kitchens. Today, just a mere 2,000 arancini balls are needed for a function. Sure, it's busy, but that's the way he likes it.
The challenge every day. The challenge, and the success of it. You get to the end of that day, we just fed 7,000, 8,000 people. We're lucky at Morphettville. We get to use all the top produce and we're encouraged to do that. Yeah.
Of course, the race that stops a nation, the Melbourne Cup, is this Tuesday, November the 6th. So why not head to Morphettville to enjoy all the action with other racing enthusiasts? And to find out what other events they have on throughout the year, just head to their website.
After the break, the giants of the deep reveal their secrets.
I'm in the thick of one of the most important and precious scientific collections in Australia, but most people don't even know it exists. This is the South Australian Museum's Bolivar facility, and it's all about the bones of whales and dolphins.
Meticulously ordered on storage shelves in the collection shed are 13 or 1400 specimens. Anything from a single bone from one marine mammal to the entire skeleton, carefully dismantled, packed and stacked. It's considered amongst the top 10 collections in the world.
What's this here?
So this is the skull of a fin whale, and that's stranded just north of Adelaide at Port Parham.
Collection manager David Stemmer came from Germany to Australia 18 years ago for a degree in marine biology. Clearly it worked out well.
What I enjoy, what is a big part of what I enjoy doing this job, is to see a whale from a blob on the beach all the way through to a beautifully prepared specimen in the collection.
Just a tiny fraction of the collection is actually on display in the South Australian Museum's city buildings. Impressive, but a mere hint of what's stored at Bolivar.
So you're out here once a week. What goes on a Tuesday?
Anything from mundane labelling of bones and writing labels and putting things away in boxes to cutting up big whales and scrubbing bones, preparing baleen. There's so many aspects to the job out here, and it always depends on what has come in and what's in the freezers and what I'm going to tackle next.
And that's why this facility is out here on a back block in Bolivar, in a couple of very unglamorous sheds, because we're about to get to the pointy end of the business. If you're squeamish, look away now. The museum's Dr. Kath Kemper is leading this dissection of a pygmy sperm whale, which was beached near Whyalla. Believe it or not, many of her team actually volunteer to do this work.
She looks at underneath the blubber, so it's called subdermal bruising. So she looks at this, plus right underneath the blubber.
From cause of death to anatomy, reproduction or diet, this work is vital to the understanding and hopefully conservation of these mammals, and is shared with the scientific community worldwide. Whales that are too big to be transported whole have to be taken apart wherever they're washed up and brought back to the facility piece by piece.
On that note, you've had an adventure or two yourself. What is the most dramatic thing that has happened to you while you've been out on the beach?
Probably this one here that I'm standing next to, which was the first and so far only whale that actually exploded on me, not just once, but twice. Fortunately, nothing happened, but it was certainly a very scary event.
What was going through your mind when that happened?
Run.
Once everything that can be gleaned from a carcass has been carefully recorded, the bones are put into maceration tanks, where warm water is used to remove the last of the flesh, a process that can take months, if not a year or two, for the very large specimens.
So this is the big tank, and at the moment there is a humpback skull in there, and it is not pretty. But what price scientific research? Whew. Oh, yuck.
The folks here are definitely made of sterner stuff than me, and their work is particularly important because of the difficulty in studying these amazing creatures in the vast oceans. The results are strangely beautiful and fascinating.
This is baleen. It's like a filter in the whale's mouth that it uses to sift food from the water, and it's been painstakingly cleaned and preserved.
Every so often, the South Australian Museum holds open days at Bolivar so the public can come and see these treasures. Keep an eye on the website for future opportunities.
And next time you wander past these amazing exhibits at the South Australian Museum, you'll know how much hard work went into them and just how much we were able to learn along the way.
Next, the Aussie cricketer Megan Shute, preparing for a sizzling summer.
My name is Megan Shute, fast bowler for the Australian Women's Cricket Team, and I grew up in Adelaide, South Australia. I love everything about playing cricket. I think it's a very fortunate job. I'm blessed to be doing what I love every single day, as a career, and For me, I get to travel the world, be with my close friends and family pretty much all throughout the year. I get to play against some great mates and form some rivalries as well. But yeah, sport changed my life in a sense that I don't know what I'd be doing if I wasn't playing cricket. And yeah, every day I wake up, I know that I'm happy. I grew up in Hackam West, the south of Adelaide. It's supposedly a little rough down there, but I don't believe it was at the time of my life. Until I moved when I was about 23, I'd grown up pretty much by the beach. Port Noarlunga was my life growing up. We spent every day after school down at the beach, and any minute I wasn't at the beach, I was kind of Adelaide Oval training. Women's cricket is in a fantastic place at the moment. I think the last few years it's really exploded, and especially the last 12 to 18 months it's been incredible really, and obviously it helps when we're successful, but I think the time and effort that's been put in has been crazy, and it's starting to really repay them now, and I think that the young girls actually have a career future for them, and for me I'm trying to leave a legacy and help out where I can, but pretty much there are so many people behind the scenes that are helping women's sport grow, and especially women's cricket, so we're in a really good spot at the moment. Growing up, I loved Glenn McGrath. As a fast bowler as well, I just think he was someone who was beautiful on and off the field. I think his values and morals were excellent towards cricket and off the field as well. So, yeah, I looked up to him. He seemed like an amazing player and someone that I idolised. A perfect day in SA would be a morning gym session at Adelaide Oval, head down to Henley Beach for a good coffee, and then finish up with the sunset by the water. Outside of cricket, there's honestly not too much time, but I love the beach and we'll get down there as much as I can. I love to skateboard. Not all that tricky with it, to be honest, a bit more of a cruiser than a real skater, I guess, but I love finding a good cafe, good coffee, pretty much just try and make the most of my time in the sun and time off. My favourite memories growing up at SA are probably heading down to Victor Harbour as a kid. We set up shop there in West every weekend with a picnic and a barbecue, and went across to Grand Island and did things like that. So for us, I think it was just spending time with my family at local parks and heading down to Harndorf as well. Yeah, we grew up travelling there a lot. I love Kangaroo Island. For me, that's my little holiday spot. I don't know, it's a little bit romantic as well, but I don't know, the drive there is my absolute favourite drive. I've driven halfway around Australia, and that is my favourite drive over the hills near Cape Jarvis. So I think, yeah, that's my favourite spot. I love Adelaide Oval. It's my favourite ground in the entire world. I've played on many different grounds, including places like Lords and etc., but nothing beats home. I think for me, cricket or footy at this ground, the atmosphere is incredible, and I've got really good memories playing on this ground. I haven't actually won too many games, especially representing Australia. I think I've only played one game on Adelaide Oval, but we play a lot of Big Bash games here, and it's great fun for me, but it's home. It's where I am every day, and the atmosphere never wears off for me.
Well, that is just about it for this week's show, and it has been a pretty big week.